It started with a smirk. Colin Jost faced deadpan, looked straight into the Saturday Night Live camera and dropped a bomb disguised as a joke. Apparently, one of the terms in Trump's new UK trade deal is that we send Meghan Markle back. But only if she deletes her entire Instagram again. The audience roared, but behind the laughter, something shifted. That line didn't just entertain, it exposed. It cracked open a perception that had been carefully protected for years. This wasn't your average royal jab. This was the moment. Comedy turned into commentary, and within seconds the internet was ablaze. And suddenly, the picture-perfect image Meghan Markle had worked so hard to build started to splinter. Before we go further, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're ready to see past the PR machine and uncover what's really been hiding behind the royal curtain. Because this story isn't about gossip, it's about exposure, and the digital reckoning is just getting started. See, this wasn't just a random roast. SNL has always been known for going after the powerful, but this time it felt personal. Why? Because the joke tapped into something people have been whispering for years, that the Meghan Markle we've been sold is a polished invention, a calculated product of power, media, and timing. And just as the joke made waves, something else resurfaced. A photo. Or more accurately, the photo. A luxurious yacht. Mediterranean waters glimmering in the background. A group of sharply dressed men, powerful, wealthy, unknown to most but central to a certain class of high society. And there she was, a woman, who looks nearly identical to Meghan Markle, center frame, legs crossed. Glass of champagne in hand, expensive sunglasses perched just right. At first glance, but then came the details, the breadcrumbs. The guests, the timeline, the clothes, the familiar faces. A digital autopsy began, led not by tabloids but by everyday internet users who had seen enough. Meghan's fans said it was a reach. Her critics said it was the receipt they'd been waiting for. Because this wasn't just a question of whether the woman in the photo was Meghan. It was a challenge to everything that came after. For years, Meghan was positioned as the underdog. A self-made actress who broke barriers, captured a prince's heart, and challenged the dusty rules of the royal family. But now, people were asking, was it really that simple? Or was it a masterclass in social strategy? The theory gained traction. Fast. Meghan didn't stumble into royalty. She didn't fall in love with a prince by accident. She mapped the terrain. She knew the power circles. And she played it flawlessly until now because the internet, unlike PR teams, doesn't forget. And as more of these images and connections resurface, a chilling pattern emerges. Carefully erased digital footprints, deleted photos, disappearing friends. A trail that vanishes right around the time her relationship with Harry began. Critics are calling it calculated. Supporters call it irrelevant. But either way, one thing is undeniable. The silence from Meghan's side is deafening. This is a woman known for firing back at the media, for suing newspapers over false headlines, for taking on the might of the British tabloids. And yet now, with forums lighting up and timelines being dissected in real time, she says nothing. Not a post. Not a denial. Not even a vague comment about misinformation. That silence has become its own kind of statement. Because in the age of digital transparency, saying nothing is often louder than saying anything at all. And that's when people really started digging. They noticed how friends once tagged in her Instagram stories have gone silent. How stylist accounts that used to post behind-the-scenes shots have been wiped clean. Questions entirely. Rumors of NDAs started swirling. Quiet settlements, strategic PR cleanups, digital handlers, SEO consultants allegedly working overtime to bury old headlines and elevate newer, glossier content. But even the most expensive reputation management campaign can't stop a cultural shift once it starts, because what Colin Jost did wasn't just make a joke. He put a spotlight on a growing public suspicion that Meghan Markle isn't just a former actress turned duchess. She's a brand. A very carefully manufactured brand. And when a brand is built on authenticity, even the smallest cracks can become collapse points. The Meghan in the yacht photo, she wasn't doing anything illegal. Nothing overtly scandalous. But it wasn't the photo itself that caused the backlash, it was what it represented. A version of her past that doesn't match the one she now sells. And in today's world, that kind of disconnect is unforgivable, because people don't mind flaws. Mainstream outlets, once sympathetic, started using phrases like digital erasure and timeline inconsistencies. Influencers who once championed Meghan's causes began treading carefully. And podcast hosts, they went in hard. "You know what I can't stand?" one said. Being told someone's real and raw and unfiltered, when everything about them is curated to hell, and that's the heart of it. The problem isn't the yacht. The problem is pretending it never existed. The public can forgive a wild past, but they can't forgive being lied to. And just when you think it can't get more tangled, Enter the disappearing friends. Stylists, stars, party regulars, people who once had Meghan in their lives now act like they've never met her. Some accounts have been scrubbed, others have gone private. And those who remain, they won't talk. If there's nothing to hide, why the sudden silence? That silence, that eerie disappearing act from the people who once surrounded Meghan, says more than any press release ever could. Because when someone climbs the social ladder as fast and flawlessly as she did, the last thing you expect is a mass retreat from those who helped her get there. And yet, that's exactly what's happening. Former Suits co-stars who once called her a sister now awkwardly sidestep interviews. Publicists who once bragged about helping her land magazine covers suddenly have no comment. Photographers who snapped her in private settings, gone. Stylists who used to tag her in posts, now ghosting the algorithm entirely. Some say it's loyalty. Others say it's legal. Whispers about NDAs aren't just speculation anymore. They're patterns, and those patterns are stacking up across the internet like dominoes. When people are legally bound not to speak, Meghan's team seems to be working around the clock behind the scenes. SEO consultants are allegedly pushing fluff pieces to the top of Google, while negative articles are quietly buried. Positive social content is being mass published through friendly media outlets, and media lawyers are reportedly monitoring Reddit, TikTok, and even YouTube for potential defamation. And it's not gossip if it's evidence. And what's surfacing now isn't just a few grainy yacht pictures, it's a consistent narrative of a woman who may have erased her. All carefully curated, all exquisitely packaged, and now all dangerously close to unraveling. Because the question everyone's now asking is simple. If this is what she tried to hide, it didn't help that her silence came at a time when her rebranding efforts were at full throttle. New podcast, new lifestyle brand, new partnerships, new PR campaigns, all positioning her as a visionary leader in women's empowerment and modern royalty. But the timing couldn't have been worse. Because just as the world was being asked to embrace this new chapter, the ghosts of her old one started clawing their way out of the digital grave. And those ghosts don't care about press kits or talking points. They care about one thing: truth. One photo led to another. One thread led to a dozen more. Yacht guest lists matched with social media check-ins. Influencers who were present on the same boats now mysteriously deleted from the timeline. Even old blogs and forum posts referencing Meghan's name pre-fame have suddenly gone missing. Entire web pages gone. But you can't delete curiosity. And curiosity, when fueled by contradiction, turns into obsession. Suddenly, amateur internet sleuths became digital detectives. Screenshots of deleted posts, metadata pulled from old uploads, reverse image searches linking fashion choices to exact dates, faces blurred, and party photos being identified using AI tools. This isn't conspiracy theory anymore. It's digital. Forensics. And the most damning part? None of it was being addressed. That's what turned the tide. Because when someone disappears their past and refuses to explain the gaps, they fill it with suspicion. Even her former defenders began to pause. Wait a second. One commentator said, if everything was innocent, why delete anything at all? And that's when Meghan's silence became her loudest scandal yet. Colin Jost's SNL punchline was just the match, but this wildfire that came from the dry brush of years of selective storytelling. Because for many viewers, that joke wasn't even that funny, it was just true. That's because people had already started to feel the shift. The packaging? No longer matched the product. And once the cracks begin to show in a public image, the entire facade starts to collapse. The Meghan Markle that once inspired global think pieces about modern feminism is now inspiring threads about social climbing tactics and strategic reinvention. The hashtags have changed, the tone has shifted, and the public's patience is running out. There was a time when every attack on Meghan sparked massive waves of defense. She's being bullied. She's breaking the mold. She's standing up for herself. But now, those same defenders are quiet. Because there's a difference between being misunderstood and being manipulative. There's a difference between reinventing yourself and rewriting your past. And when someone has made authenticity their entire brand, being caught in a line no matter how small shakes the foundation. What started as a single SNL joke has now cracked open a much larger narrative. That Meghan Markle may not be the person the world was told she was. That behind the speeches and soft focus interviews lies a carefully crafted campaign. One that demanded silence from those who knew her before the tiaras, and the more that silence continues, the more powerful it becomes. Because in today's media landscape, transparency is currency. And Meghan, she's bankrupting hers fast. Even, people are wondering, did he fall in love with a person or with a persona? And if it was the latter, what happens when the mask falls away? Is it too late to turn the story around? Maybe, maybe not. But what's clear is this: when the story you sell no longer lines up with the facts people find, your audience doesn't just tune out, they turn against you. And that's the danger Meghan now faces. Not scandal, not gossip, but because in the world of fame, nothing is worse than people deciding they no longer believe you. And now, the mask is slipping faster than anyone expected, because the Meghan Markle story was never just about love or royalty, it was about reinvention. About a woman who seemed to rise above the noise, who escaped the toxic media machine, challenged the royal institution, and became a global symbol of empowerment. But the irony? The very machine she claimed to escape is the one she may have engineered behind the scenes. The very image she said was used against her might have been her most powerful weapon all along. It's not that she had a past, that's not what's breaking the internet. It's that she tried to erase it. And in doing so, she created a vacuum, one that was quickly filled by suspicion, speculation, and worst of all, proof. Because now, with every resurfaced image, every deleted post, every ghosted friend, the fairy tale gets darker. There's no crime in wanting a better life. No shame in climbing. But when your climb involves vanishing people, disappearing truths, and weaponizing silence, the public begins to feel conned. And when people feel conned, they stop clapping. You don't get to stand on a podium and preach about honesty while quietly scrubbing your past. That contradiction isn't just dangerous, it's fatal. Especially in an age where nothing stays buried. Not photos, not tweets, not yacht party memories. And Meghan's silence on this? It's not classy. It's not composed. It's calculated. Because real authenticity doesn't require PR spin. It doesn't hide behind legal teams or NDAs. It says, yes, that was me, and here's who I am now. But Meghan didn't do that. She disappeared. And when public figures disappear in the middle of controversy, they don't become forgotten. They become the focus. So where does this leave her? Not canceled, not destroyed, but exposed. Exposed as someone who carefully built a brand on vulnerability while tightly controlling the narrative. Someone who sold the world on transparency but used secrecy as a shield. Someone who preached truth but ran from it the moment it turned uncomfortable. And now, she's facing the consequence of that contradiction. Because once the audience starts to see the strings behind the curtain, they stop believing in the magic. This isn't just about a yacht photo, or an SNL joke, or a curated Instagram account. It's about the loss of credibility, the unraveling of a myth, the realization that maybe, just maybe, the underdog story was a performance. And when a performance ends, what's left? Not applause, not sympathy, just silence. The same silence Meghan has given in return. But remember, in today's world, silence isn't neutral, it's a statement. And right now, it's saying a lot. The Meghan Markle conversation has changed. No longer about fairy tales. Now, it's about accountability, authenticity, truth, and those things. They don't come with a filter, so as the internet continues digging, the question isn't whether the truth will come out, it's when. Because the digital age doesn't let go, and neither do the people who feel misled. One photo started it, one joke pushed it forward, but it's the silence that sealed it. The story of Meghan Markle, the real one, is still being written. But it's no longer being written by palace insiders, glossy magazines, or PR handlers. It's being written by the public, by people who aren't afraid to question the narrative, to ask the hard questions, to connect the dots. And once those questions start, they don't stop. So if you want the truth, the unfiltered version, not the Palace-approved one, make sure you're part of this community. Because we're not just watching the headlines, we're reading between the lines. Tap that subscribe button so you don't miss the next revelation, because the more they try to bury the past, the more it rises to the surface, and this is just the beginning.